let me tell you, a lot has happened. I feel so pained. Under the supervision of my ex-wife, one of my child was RAPE, and the painful thing is that she hid it from me.
By who?
By a pastor. The alleged rapist, omokri. I contacted VeryDarkMan. I contacted VeryDarkMan. I was happy. I even told people around me, I just chatted VeryDarkMan, and he responded. So I was happy. And he said that I don't charge. But there's what I call a data something fee. I was like, how will VeryDarkMan ask for data something fee? Data processing fee.
These messages, this conversation, do you still have them?
I have them. The chat is here with VeryDarkMan. It was from there he said we should see, and I obliged. He said he's going to even interview my daughter. To be honest with you, till this moment, VeryDarkMan never hosted my daughter. My ex-wife slapped one of the ministers on the altar. I am not joking. His name is Isaac, first name. My ex-wife made her friend to sell her only car. You heard when she was saying that you stopped me. If not, I would have dealt with maybe. You host her. My ex-wife made her to sell her only car, defrauded her. That is the person that gave her accommodation. My ex-wife defrauded her. Now the woman became so angry that she started looking for me. She was owing that David, I think about 800 or 900,000, owing the woman her car and some other business they did.
This 800,000 was also defrauded. I think I need to say something here. If you're watching this video, I need you to understand that these are not just mere allegations. If they are mere allegations, I won't interject. But this is one of the things I told you. Remember at the beginning of this video, I told you I saw things that broke my heart. I hate things that broke my heart. And this with concrete proof, evidence, living proof of some of these things, especially what he's saying concerning his wife. After the last interview, you spent 26 days in prison.
Yeah.
And this did not happen because of any other person. It was the man you once worked under, prominent pastor Dr. Paul Enenche of the Dunamis, that masterminded your incarceration, your intimidation, the harassment. Your testimony you gave in Dunamis Church concerning your son or your daughter that had a hole in the heart.
Yes.
Was it true or false?
Now, this is what I will say. If Dunamis Church or anybody can get any medical report from any hospital in the world that shows that my son had hole in the heart, I'm going to apologize. And I will be in church on Sunday to apologize in their church to Dr. Paul and everybody, and bring more people that have hole in the heart so that Dr. Paul will heal them.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is me again, KaaTruths, the host of KaaTruths Podcasts. And today I am having this interview with a very heavy heart. I feel heartbroken. I feel sad. I feel angry. This is not because I've not eaten today, I've eaten. But because today I was able to access a lot of information that broke my heart. A whole lot of information that speaks of betrayal, speaks of bitterness, and speaks of intimidation. You know, the first time I hosted the ex-Dunamis pastor, Abraham Daniels, in this studio, we talked about a whole lot of things. And when I read some of the comments, you guys were saying that he's a madman because of his dread. He's hungry. That is why he keeps jumping from one person to another. And then you said his entitlement mentality was overreaching, overbearing. Most of you called him so much derogatory names. But today, after assessing the information, hard information, concrete information, proof, irrefutable fact, I think most of us, we owe him an apology, and he has actually been very economical with the truth. But not to waste much of your time, I have him again in the studio today, and we are going to be having a lot of talk. So I welcome you once again, my brother Abraham Daniels.
Thank you so much for having me, KaaTruths. Thank you so much. And hi, everyone.
You after the last interview, you spent 26 days in prison.
Yes.
And this did not happen because of any other person. It was the man you once worked under, a pastor,
Yes, sir.
a prominent pastor, Dr. Polinichi of the Dunamis, that masterminded your incarceration, your intimidation, the harassment, and your imprisonment for 26 days. And it was not just you. I am happy you came out looking strong, healthy, energized, with your smiles as always. This interview is not going to be like the previous one because I feel sad with most of the things I now know. But it's all well. Tell us, Abraham, concerning your wife. While you were in prison, your wife granted an interview. And in that interview, she said a whole lot of things. She alleged very unspeakable things against you, against your person. People were left confused. They didn't know who to believe, who to side. They said, if this man is such a despicable entity, despicable husband and father, how can we believe whatever he says about any other person? I realized that the first time you were here, you were being very economical. You didn't want to involve your family, your ex-wife, and all of that. But today, since this case has degenerated to this point, I would want you to tell us if you have anything to say about it. Some of those allegations, talk to us about what really happened between you and your wife.
Okay. Thank you so much, KaaTruths. And I'm happy to be here to speak for myself because, when people say things, people have the freedom to say anything until you fact check and you begin to separate truth from lies and assumptions. I had a good time while I was in detention. I think I recommend that for everybody. Just once in a while, step in there. I was able to, within the 26 days, I was able to read like four or five books. And it was a good experience for me. And back to my wife, well, like you all know, the case is still in court. And with the intervention of Ochidoma, it's sub judice, so I may not be talking on the case. But back to my ex-wife, when I saw all of that, I was laughing. Because I was laughing and crying at the same time. Because this was a woman, when I met her at a very low level of her life, lowest level. I believed in her. I stood by her, built her to become a woman. Because for me, I don't know, I think from my cradle, I noticed I'm naturally a humanist from my cradle. I never knew until recently. Because I met her, like she said in her podcast, in Abuja. Then I was into phone at Wuse Market, around Wuse Market, Gateway Bank then, the fourth Gateway Bank. If you know Erisco Bumpet Plaza then, opposite Wuse Market, that was when and where I met her. So most of the things she said, they are unfounded, untrue, and we are going to look at them. We are going to pick them one after the other. I am going to be subjecting her and to do as much as possible not to involve my kids because I love them and I respect them. Yes. So when I met her, I had a phone booth. If you remember when GSM came out, there is what they call phone booth where people come to make phone calls. And I had that phone booth, so she came to make phone call and she was calling someone to come pick her. And I sat with my friends. While she was making phone call, I had staff that were attending to her. And I told my friend, I like that girl. I like her, the way she looks and the way she sounds. As of that time, I had a girl that I wanted to marry. I had a girl, and let me call her name for the sake of this interview. Eunice. I won't call her surname, Eunice. My mother was aware. Her parents even somehow aware of of my plan. And so I met her. She said she came to see her aunt, and she came to visit her aunt. And going further, talking with her, I noticed she actually came to see a man. Actually came to see a man in Abuja. But I never bothered her on that. I even told her, okay, let's take you out, maybe buy you something. She said, no, she's not hungry. She wouldn't eat. And I think like 2 days later, she was returning back to Benue. She came greeting, because anytime she want to make calls, she usually come to my phone booth to make calls. And she came greeting that she's returning back to Benue and Otupo, to be precise. And I told her, oh, do you need any money? Maybe transportation, let me assist you. And she told me no. That was what touched me. I like, who? So there are ladies that you could
offer money,
and
they will refuse.
They will refuse or decline. I'm like, wow, man, I like that girl. I told my friend, if that girl, if she could see money and decline, I think she's a good girl. So that was when I started making an attempt to begin to talk about, we started making phone calls. In those days, it's landline, or you go to phone booth. So I would call, and they will call her. I'll be talking with her. And I remember a particular experience. I had a staff that had what we call I had an intercellular, and people also bring their own intercellular for me to fix for them. So my staff burned somebody's terminal, and it resulted to police issue, and they said I should buy the terminal. As of that time, I had no money, enough money to buy the terminal, and I just shared with her, and she told me, oh, I have some money I can give you.
Wow. I
was touched. Oh, you just met me, you don't even know me. So she sent me the money, then it was not via transfer. She gave it to a driver coming to Abuja, and the driver's address and all of that. So I went to the park, I collected the money, and that was how I sorted that out. So we started talking. And it was from there, it went further. I even went to Benue to see her, and I pretended as if I'm not from Benue. Yeah, I pretended. So she gave me a place to stay, because I needed to know her. And as a young person, I grew up in a very conservative home. I was born into Assemblies of God. Like I said in the other podcast, I started preaching very early. So I came from a very conservative home. So when she took me to a place to lodge, I just sneak home. I returned back to my home and met my mother and all of that briefly, and returned back to the same guest house again. And that was how we started talking. And I told her about marriage. When I told her about marriage, she started. Before talking about marriage, she was sharing her life with me, how she never knew her dad, and how her mother had 3 of them for 3 different men. When I heard that, I was so touched. You never knew your dad? And she said it was at the graveyard of her father's body while he was being laid to rest that they called and said, that's your father. So when I heard her story, I was so touched. I said, no way. And she told me how she was abused, thrown out, and how, when I heard her story, I was so touched. I said, no, I told myself I will marry that girl. Because first, like I said, I have a very compassionate heart. Listening to her story, her ordeal, I told myself, whatever it is, I will marry her. And when I even told my mother, she was saying, no, you barely know this lady. How do you want to marry her? There's this lady that was coming to the house. You know her very well. I know her parents. She used to come to the house when you were away to assist. I said, no, I'm not marrying her. I will marry that girl. And my mother wasn't really happy. My family members were not happy, but because it was my choice, they stood by me. And that was how we got married. Now, when I married Martina, a whole lot started happening. And before the wedding even, it was so difficult because she told me her story that in her family, and I am saying this and I can be fact checked, in her family that no one has formally married. No one. She even mentioned her lineage, that most times it's either they are pregnant outside wedlock, or maybe somebody just impregnated and they just give birth, or maybe they're impregnant and the next thing the person pay bride price. But she was the first lady that formally got married. It was it was on our wedding night. And let me shock you. In those days, we used to use it as a bragging, right? I married as a virgin. At 24, I married as a virgin. She was the first woman. To tell you the truth, it was not easy for me. But she wasn't a virgin. But I love it because I needed somebody that could expose,
somebody with experience.
So I married her as a virgin, and when she was telling me her story and all of her ordeals, I said, "No way, I'm going to stand by you, and you can rewrite your story. If you never knew your dad, you can now have children, that we have a good home, and you can rewrite your story. If in your lineage nobody has been married in your lineage, you could be that first lady." And that was what I did. First, I reconciled her with her mother. Before then, both of them, her and her mother, they were not in talking terms. Her mother was not talking with her. They threw her out, literally. I'm not joking. She was thrown out of the house on the streets. I never took advantage of her. I never molested her. I followed all the procedure as a young man. I never had all the money, but I had a good heart for her. So whatever they demanded, I remember that time they said we should buy a cow, and for the wedding, I said, "Well, I don't have such money for cow, but this is what I can afford." And I remember the mother giving me part of the money, and I knew what I went through. I had to pay back. To tell you the extent I went. So even on the wedding day when we got married, should I shock you? I tricked to my wedding. I love simplicity, to be honest with you, because if I don't like people using about to wed and all of that driving. So I tricked to my wedding, and of course I had a friend. In those days in Assemblies of God, and for the record, I married her in Assemblies of God. In Assemblies of God, Otukpo, 16 Echana Street. The pastor that officiated us was Pastor Uja. Now I think he's he's an area supervisor also. He's now Reverend Uja. So I'm giving you details, name Pastor Uja. So and in Assemblies of God, the bride is usually kept in the church parsonage. So it is after the wedding that she can now go to her family, or no, to her home. That is a new home. So that was what happened, and it was even after the wedding that we were coming out that her mother came. It was after the wedding because her mother said no member of the family should attend. Everybody rejected her, like, we are not coming for your wedding. But I celebrate her uncle. The uncle was there. Her uncle was there and stood by her. But from her mother's side, everybody they withdrew. And I said, no problem. I love you, and that is all. And that was how we got married. And I remember also. I remember also when we got married. She has a good side. Like I said, she gave me money when I had that terminal issue. And when I offered that money, she declined. I remember when we got married, we were using my family house as new couples. And she was ready to cooperate with me at that level. And I remember when we were to move into our home, the first mattress we used, she brought it because she had a mattress before then. I had things in Abuja, but my aunt was staying with me, so I left everything with her. So I was using, my dad late already, so I was using the family house. But we needed to move on to live on our own now. The first mattress, she brought it. The stove we used, she brought it. So look, I gave Martina my all. When we had our first child, Lillian, we had her in Otukpo, Benue State. I remember very well when she was in labor, her mother was a matron. Her mother said, no member, a nurse that is a matron now, no member of the family should go close. No member should go close. I was like, what happened? That child is cursed. Like, Lillian was seen like a disadvantaged child, my first daughter, and that nobody should go close to that family. I remember her immediate younger sister disobeyed her mother and came. I remember also her grandmother came and her mother wasn't happy. But all of that, we built that home. And let me say it again for the record, and I could be fact-checked. People are there. I did babysitting for all my children. All. I don't play with my children. Like Lillian, I did babysitting for her. With due respect to her, she's of a big size. and there are things she couldn't literally do. I did babysitting. I pressed her tummy. Young couples. So I did everything. I was there for her. Like as she can testify, I never abused her one day to carry hand and hit a woman. It was not. I did babysitting for Lillian, and when perfection came, I did babysitting for perfection. It was after perfection we now moved from Benue. Now in Benue State, while I was in Benue State, I was into telecommunication. Because I started phone repair. GSM came, and even in Benue State, I worked for the likes of Abamoru. I used to mount what they call masts, this MTN mast.
Yes.
But it's the local one. I built them locally for people so that they can make call using antenna. Now I had worked for Abamoru, Fabagada, and the rest, even late Obando Bear. Now, while I was in Benue State, I opened restaurant for her. No, before restaurant, it was a video club. In those days, people rent movies and all that. I opened video club for her. She was my manager. In that, if we don't make money in that shop, at least every month we are making over 100,000. That was 2004. We got married.
That was a huge amount of money.
Yes, then. And because I was shuttling Enugu, because then if you want to get phone accessories, you have to go to Enugu or Onitsha, Owi Road or Iweka Road. And that was where I was buying accessories. And in Otukpo, I was the chairman of phone repairers in Otukpo because I was good at my job. Everybody, sometimes I work till midnight. There was a time they robbed my shop. They broke into the shop and stole people's phones. I had problems to pay. And I had to pay through my nose.
When the problem started? When was the exact time problem started in your family?
Okay.
Between you and your wife? And what was the problem? And how has, what exactly led to the divorce?
Okay. The whole problem started when we now moved to Otukpo. Moved from Otukpo to Abuja, and she told me about Dunamis church because at one point in 2004, after my wedding, I wasn't going to church. I was tired about everything church, but then I was still reading the Bible. I was studying because there was this discontentment. I couldn't comprehend. They go to church, people they pray and fast, and people see struggle, and the preaching of Christ was not sound. Everybody, either they are talking about money, they are talking about tithe and open doors, and the doors were not really opening. So I just remained at home and studying the Bible. But when we came to Abuja, she told me that there is this pastor. She recommended Dunamis Church for me, and this pastor that preach is very bold and vocal like you. I said, wow. So that was how she introduced me to Dunamis Church, and from there I said, okay, let me see. I did their Bible school. And from there, when I did their Bible school, I graduated. I had two openings. There was this man that wanted me to work. He's into construction. He wanted me to be his site manager because then he was building estate. And as of that time, 2008, estate was springing forth in Abuja. So he wanted me to be his site manager. He got me a BMW. And beside that, I now had the opportunity to work with Dunamis Church. Because somebody recommended me for them. They were struggling with their production. So somebody said, I can do it. Mrs. Idiku, she's late now. She recommended me to work with them. So I discussed that with her. She said, no, choose Dunamis Church. And as couples, you have to, when it comes to choice, you don't just, as a man, you can't just jump and make your choice. So I choose Dunamis Church. Now,
because that was what she wanted.
Yeah, that was what she wanted. So then, becoming a staff now, we started, we are coming from Kurudu to work in Dunamis Church, and it all continued like that. And the work, the services I was rendering paved way for me, and from there I got. We needed to move to Airport Road. Now let me tell you this. Now Martina, of course, while we were trying to move, like I said, I was not born with silver spoon, and I was not a lazy person. I was ready to work. I had in-laws, a young lady, her eldest sister that supported. I had her aunt that supported. Like, oh, you are doing this, let me support you. That supported. And with great regard and respect to them. So we moved to Lugbe. Now, as a staff with Dunamis Church, as of that time, my income was not heavy, but it was sustaining the family. Then I have already had 3 children. Lillian, Perfection, and Grace. I never had any of these 3 children in Dunamis Church. So it was then when we moved to Lugbe, I started working with them until I became a pastor. Now, when I became a pastor, that was when Martina started misbehaving. Now, but to be honest with you, I knew when we got married, there was an attitude I noticed with her. She lies. She lies. And she's very subtle. I noticed that. And I understand that, okay, it's a weakness, because as a pastor, you are taught to tolerate one another. And as a pastor also, and someone that have taught and have done a series of weddings, anytime you see a weakness in your partner, it is an assignment for you on how to handle that weakness. And you assume it is your weakness so that you can change her. So I remember there was this pathetic story. A woman gave her money. And actually, a young girl gave her money to give to her mother in the village. And Martina took this money and used the money. This woman came to the house and was knocking and asking for her money. And Martina said, no, there's no problem. I said, what happened? No problem. But at one point, this woman got angry and started cursing her. That was when I knew that Martina collected the money and used the money. I was lying to the woman. I was so disappointed. I pleaded with the woman and we were able to raise the money and paid the woman. Now, another incident. One time when Lillian was born, my first daughter, Lillian was born and we had misunderstanding. Normal couples misunderstanding. And the next thing, one of the aunt came to the house and told her, pack your load, let's leave this marriage. I told you that this young man is nobody. Pack your load. And that was how they moved her with Lillian, my first daughter, to their family house. And every day I wake up in the morning, I mind my business. I was going to my work then in Benue. Until one day, she used one of our pastors. Then, I was in Assemblies of God before I left, so she knew some of them. She went to their house and brought them. Early in the morning, they woke me up and they were pleading, forgive her, forgive her. I said, well, I didn't chase her out of the house. Because when she left, Lillian became so sick. And as a Benue person in our tradition, when you do, there are certain things you don't do, especially when you are legally married and the father is there, you begin to move about with the person's children. So she apologized, they apologized, and I took her back. So fast forward to Abuja, when I became a pastor in Dunamis Church, I needed her to work because throughout then she wasn't working. She was my responsibility. I remember at one point we had to support her to go to a teachers college at there's this teachers college in Mararaba, City College, if you know City College of Education. Yes. Mararaba. So she went there, and so when we started in Dunamis Church, I spoke to great respect to her, Dr. Paul Enenche's wife, that if she could be given a job. And she was given a teaching job there. Now, when she got that job, she started misbehaving. And I remember one incident. Because I was very close to the system and they respect me, she was taking advantage of that. She used to sell baby clothes. So she was she will have children in her class. For instance, if a child wee or maybe poo in his or her clothes, she will change this child and pick one of her new clothes that she sells and wear the child. And the parent will come and she will tell the parents, oh, sorry, your child messed up this clothes. And that's why I wore him or her this clothes, my own clothes, but you can go. And the parents say, no, I need to pay for it. That was her trick. And she was selling her clothes. It got to the management. And to be honest with you, with due respect to Dr. Becky Enenche, my former boss, she called me and said, Abraham, please, I'm going to sack Martina. And she said she doesn't used to do that, but she needed to tell me, to accord me that respect because of our closeness. And I said, no problem. If you saw reasons why you had reasons why you should sack her, please go ahead. And she mentioned, give me reasons. And that was how she was sacked. And she said, okay, to help you, because I was good at my job and the family responsibility was so much. I said, okay, I set up a business for her. I set up a business for her. And that business I set for her, they gave us the opportunity so that she can use laptop to download messages and earn money, because in Dunamis church, people come to buy Dr. Paul Emenche's messages. So she had a laptop and she would put in people's memory card. If you remember in those then, memory card and MP3, all these mobile MP3.
Yes.
So it was at that point she started changing. Martina, and the climax was when we were posted out to become pastors. I remember very well she, that arrival in terms of mama. And I remember when you're a pastor's wife, you have a whole lot of responsibility. Of course, we are young, but I was doing my job. I remember very well, we have marriage committee, we have several, in church, you have different departments. That I try my possible best to keep my family life, my wife, private and out of church activities, because it has a way of affecting your operation as a pastor. And we have rules. One of the rules is pastor is not allowed to do business with church members. One of the rules is a pastor's wife is not allowed to do business with church member or anybody or any member of the church. So as a pastor, I try to warn her. The next
as a pastor's wife, you're not allowed to do business with church members.
Yes, like for instance, maybe you have maybe you sell shoe and you are telling church members to come and buy. And most times, some of them, of course, and I respect that policy, because maybe some of them we buy because mommy asked us to buy.
Okay, so they don't want you to compel the church members to buy.
Yes, to buy. So when we got there, I noticed that she needed to do something. So I had a Previa, a Toyota Previa car. Previa. I needed her to do something. What I did was I sold the car. I remember a church member. Because I use my account. I have accountants, I have assistant pastor. I told them I'm selling, and a church member indicated, and they bargained it, I think 450,000. I sold that car. I carried that money. I gave her. She said she wanted to go into boutique selling children things. She have gotten a shop. I said, go ahead. She traveled to Lagos, bought things, and stocked the place. I said, fine. At least money will be coming from there to help you. Now, I noticed that she started complaining that no sales and things were not working. I remember I was the one that personally paid the sales girl. And now, as a pastor, my ex-wife started doing business with church members. That was where I started having problems.
And she knew very well that this was against the church policy.
It's absolutely against the church policy. You don't do business with church members. Now, one of the business she started doing with church members was that church members, there's this multimedia marketing, they call it long reach. Long reach. So they have toothpaste and all of that. Her aunt introduced her to that business. And her aunt told her, you're a pastor of a big church now. So why not, you can have people, and from there, your level this, level that, they'll begin to pay, you get to a point where you won't work again. Your money will begin to pay you. And they got her introduced into it. She started doing it. I had no problem with that. I told her, please, do not involve church members. I beg you. But she did not listen to me. This woman made church members, and they are still alive, with valid address. I maybe I've not seen their consent, so I won't call their names. But deaconess, some of the deaconesses in the church, she introduced them to this business. And when you give people hope, that when you register and maybe bring 3 more people, this will happen, that will happen, and and before you know it, they are not seeing that result, they'll begin to ask questions.
Yes.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Now, do you know this woman? I begged her. Let me give you one particular issue that happened. We had marriage committee in church. In Dunamis church, we have marriage committee, people that handle people's marriage and weddings. And we have committee chairman. And his name is Mr. Ifani. Let me mention his name. And he's a deacon, Deaconess Ifani. And I told her, please leave them. Let them do their thing. But my ex-wife will always want to interfere. One day, then she made them to make a policy that because she said she noticed that food they don't treat pastors well, like me, the resident pastor. Maybe the food they need to serve me after preaching and all of that, they don't treat me well, and other pastors or the ministers on the altar. So she told them that people have to pay money up front, charging people up front
for the food,
which was not part of the church policy. Do you know it went to headquarters? I remember, I think Dr. Becky Enenche, with great respect to her, she called me and said, Abraham, what is happening? Why will you tell people to pay money for food against their wedding? Are you the one? What is your business? I said, no. But as a pastor and also a husband, when things like that come, you take responsibility. You can't just say, oh, my wife. No, it shows that you are not responsible. So I said, Mommy, please, I'm sorry. I will look into it. And I called the marriage committee chairman and your wife. So I called her and said, please, I beg you, please keep off. Allow them. And Dunamis Church, New Carol, I'm giving you the address. Please go and ask them. Ask the women there. Ask the youth there. Ask the elderly there about me and my wife. There were days that I will literally cry because of that woman. She disgraced me, embarrassed me. Do you know the long reach business? She had to invite her aunt to come and hold seminar in that church. She hosted her aunt. There's a K Health Center. I'm calling the name of the church now, Dunamis Church, New Carol. The K Health Center is opposite the church. She used that venue, inviting church members, promising them that they will make money from that multimedia transaction. I begged this woman. And one thing about marriage and also pastoring is that if your wife puts her leg, you can't deny her. Because if you deny her, it look as if you don't know your job. So inside I'm talking, I'm begging, please calm down. But outwardly I have to make sure I manage, because I have to be there to manage whatever is happening so that it doesn't escalate. Now, let me tell you this story. And the man is still alive. I'll call his first name, Isaac. And you can go and find out, verify. I used to preach 5 times on Sunday. In one of the service, after first service or second service, I go refresh. Either I urinate or maybe take water or something so that I can prepare for the next service.
Yeah.
So while I was preparing for the next service, I heard a quarrel in her office, because her office is next to my office. You can walk through her office to my office. So I heard a shout, and I became curious. What happened? My ex-wife slapped one of the ministers on the altar. I am not joking. His name is Isaac, first name. And I know he's still alive. And my assistant pastor was there, Victor. Albert is my accountant. And other staff that witnessed it. Slap the man, senior her.
Why?
Because the man went to her. She made the man to do this multimedia business. And the man now started complaining. This thing
it's not working.
It's not working. I have put this and that, and she got angry and hit this man. When you know how it is as a pastor, you are preaching. The stress of preaching is not easy. You have to preach 5 times.
It's not,
and you don't need to repeat yourself. So I was cracking my head on what to say, on how to make things work, and they brought that news to me. I was like, I have to beg the man. I'm sorry. After the service, I need to see you. I begged this man. He wrote a petition to headquarters. So if I beg this man, please, I'm sorry. I am completely sorry. Now, let me tell you something. My ex-wife messed me up. She did me dirty. One of the main reasons, at one point, I was trying to leave the system that was going down, because when I sold my previous car to set her up in business, that business went down. She closed the shop. She now said that she needed more money again. I am calling names. I went extra mile. There is this deacon in the church, Ifani. He's even the marriage committee chairman. I was, Okay, no, not Ifeanyi. There's this other man. I've forgotten his name, but maybe while we are talking, I will remember. We are talking, and somebody told me, oh, he has access to where I could get a loan. Now, this thing is against pastor's policy. Like, as a pastor, you don't discuss, maybe if I need help, I prefer to call my senior pastor or maybe apply for a loan. But I now said, okay, if this man is giving loan and my wife have been disturbing me for money for business, let me help her. I invited him to the office and he told me, this is it and this is the interest. I knew, okay, I had some money. I'm expecting some money. So if I give her, if she doesn't pay, I know I can pay. I collected 500,000 naira. I gave my ex-wife. Now, to
500,000 naira
loan. When it was time to pay, stories. I had to manage that situation so that I wasn't embarrassed. I paid. Let me tell you again. Another loan again. There was this my guy. He was very close, a young man. He when you as a pastor, you have young people around you. This young man was around, and my ex-wife relates with youth and all of that. So, and I allow her to be free with them. And this young man said he has some money he can assist, because I'll give her money, it will finish. I'll give her money, it will finish. And so I said, okay. This man gave me a loan. I think 400,000 naira or so, or 500,000 naira. I gave it to her.
Again,
yeah, because I needed her to stand. She will use the money. The next thing story, business not working, people are owing, people are not paying. So I collected another one. I may call his name. He's even a pastor in Dunamis church now. As I'm talking, maybe he will watch this podcast and he will verify it. I collected another 500,000. I think 500,000 or 400,000 from him and gave her. Should I shock you? My ex-wife went behind and collected, I think, additional 300,000 or so from the same guy. How did I know? One day after service, repayment time has come, and I was expecting her, because she said she will double it. What is it? So I was expecting her, okay, give me the money now. And she started telling stories.
All this money, what was she using this money for? Is it for the same long reach business?
Some were going into long reach business. Some she was buying clothes. These clothes, she will tell you she invested in these. And as a pastor,
buying clothes for herself?
No, she said boutique. So what she does, she will buy. She said she's into importation. So they do all this, what they call mini importation.
Yes.
The group, I don't know how the group buy things. So, and as a pastor, and even not just a pastor, as a married man, if your wife said you won't have peace in your house,
you won't have peace.
I'm telling you the truth.
But tell me so that we don't drag it long.
Yeah.
How exactly did the church use your wife against you? You made mention of this in the first interview. So I would want you to establish that fact. What did they really do to use her to frustrate you? And please, let us go straight to the point.
Okay, yes. Let me say this now. When I applied for resignation, and like I said, I'm not going to discuss the court issue because it's sub judice.
Yes.
But when I applied for resignation, my family were both carried along. I told them, and because it was even my daughter, my first and second daughter, that helped type my resignation letter. The first day I was to submit, I went with her. We were all in agreement. And why was I resigning? I saw, like some of you know, in the last podcast, I discussed a whole lot on that, so I wouldn't go back there. But so I gave my reasons. I wasn't fitting in anymore. I was struggling literally. So it's better to leave. So I went with my ex the first time. I didn't meet Dr. Paul. So the next time I went alone, I submitted my resignation letter. When I resigned, I started what we call Kingdom Culture Network. Kingdom Culture Bible Church. Same new carol. Now, my ex-wife, when you start a new work like that, you expect your wife to be by you. And you expect your wife to support you. The support is not like giving you money, but, they rally around women because people were coming. My ex-wife will come for the meeting and go sit at the back. And people will come and see your wife that should be at the forefront, compelling people to do things. Seated at the back is like, are you people okay? Or sometimes she won't come at all. So I became worried. My ex-wife, instead of subscribing to my ideas, Kingdom Culture Bible Church, and if you know very well, I'm a good student of Maismuro, and you know Maismuro on Kingdom. I'm a good student. I used to be a good student of Sunday Adelaja. I'm not too. I don't like reading too many books. Yes, I don't. Sometimes people say that people sponsor you, people use you, books spoil you. It's a lie. So when my ex-wife will be subscribing to where I left, in the same house where we are subscribing to Kingdom Culture materials.
She was going back to Dunamis.
I was like, what is happening? We are developing a template. I even got the keyboard. My daughter was learning my second daughter was learning how to play keyboard. We're setting up structures. No support at all. And one day I asked her, what do you want? He said, I must go back to Dunamis. As a man, like I said earlier, if your wife said you wouldn't have peace, you will never have peace. I beg her, I say, please, I have left there.
Do you think she was sponsored to frustrate you, or she was just doing it, willingly on her own?
You see, like I said, because I don't want to go deep into certain things because of the court issue. But she wasn't just doing it on her own. My ex-wife was being compelled. Let me tell you something. When you leave a system and you are to move on, and you hear things like you have left the cover, because let me give you an instance. Before I left in 2018, in February, armed robber robbed me. So I packed from there to another place. In December, I was robbed again. Now, when that robbery took place, my ex-wife was not in Abuja. She said she traveled to Lagos. Now, she never had details of the robbery. The rumors started going around, spreading around as if maybe because I left the cover. That is why.
So the protection of the church was no longer there.
And
so you are now vulnerable to attack from different forces.
So that was the slogan. That was the music that was being played. So my ex-wife now started sowing that seed. You have to go back. Things are not working because you have left the cover. I said, how? And there are people in the so-called cover that are struggling. I want to build my life. Should I tell you, please? I had a business center. In that business center, I had a 10 system. I had a PS2, PS3, 2 PS2, the complete game. I have this BB generator, 2 and 1 big and 1 small generator. I begged and I had a multimedia printer and all of that. I beg her, please manage that printing, manage the computer, business center. I begged her. From my house to that business center is not up to 1 kilometer. My wife never stepped her feet there one day.
That was not what she wanted.
The only thing she could do there is, I need money, they'll collect money. That was how that thing went down. And she said, you must go back to Dunamis Church.
What was your relationship like with your children? Ooh. And let's talk about, after the first interview, we saw a video, trending video online, where you were giving testimony.
Yes.
About a hole in the heart. You said your one of your daughters had a hole in the heart, and they went to give testimony in church. How after prayers by the pastor, Dr. Pauline Ninche, she was healed and all of. Tell us about that testimony.
You are setting me up.
The testimony, was it staged? Did you stage it? Did you just go
to me up? Now on that, first, because like I said, certain things are sub judice, so I have to be very careful and selective, because I don't want. I respect Ochidoma, and I also respect the court. Now, let me tell you a very honest truth. My son has no hole in the heart. I remember when this boy was born. He was born. There's a name for it. He not the full cycle. Now he was born. I think preteen also, not the full cycle. So he came out half baked. I'm not a science student, so I'm trying to use words now. When he came out, now the hospital is at Gariki 2, beside CBN quarters. Maybe as I'm talking, I'll remember the name of the hospital so that we can go verify, because I love facts. Now, when he was born, his body was looking blue, like very tiny. And let me remind you, that day he was born, I was not expecting her to deliver that day. We had a program in church, and I ate spicy food. I had ulcer, so I was purging. So that day that I was even at the hospital running around, I was literally lying down in one of the bed. So I was so tired and stressed. Now, when he was born, they were trying to fix oxygen. I think the oxygen there, they ran out of oxygen, or the oxygen was not working well. So the nearest hospital was Gariki Hospital. And we rushed, had him there. There's a word for children. I think there's a name for it also. They quickly placed him on oxygen, and they said they need blood. Now, if you see, as of that time, if he's breathing around the chest here, you could feel that pump, pump, pump. You see that, that heartbeat, that heartbeat. Now, no doctor, I repeat, no doctor. And you see, he was born just, I think, like 6-7 years ago. So Gariki Hospital is there. We can go verify. Venus. Yes, Venus Hospital. Beside the old CBN, Gariki. That was where my son was born, Venus. So you can go verify at Venus. You can also go to Gariki Hospital to verify. Now, when he was born, the only thing they placed him on that so that he can get enough oxygen and grow up to the full cycle. And also, we needed blood. Now, because I was stressed, I went to where they were donating blood. They took my blood. They said, no way, I don't even have enough blood because I was sick already. It was one of my in-law, the brother that came to rescue us. He came, donated his blood, and that was how, there was a swap, because I think his blood was not the same group and all of that. So, but they had blood in their blood bank. So that was what happened. Now, when my ex-wife started coming with the narrative of my son have a hole in the heart, I was like trying to add one or two. But because, she gave birth to that boy via CS. So while we were running up and down, she was not there. She was at the Venus Hospital trying to recover. Now, when they came with the hole in the heart thing, I was shocked. But you see, this is what I'll tell people. When you are in a system where you need to connect what happened to you, especially when it is good, to something, so that it can gain validation, it becomes a major problem. I will tell you, what do you expect from me to say? It was even yesterday I watched that video, and maybe we can look at that video again, because when they gave me that video to watch, I did not finish it, but I watched it, and I noticed I was not the one talking. I only did the intro, and I gave her the microphone. I only did the intro, acknowledging the commission I was under and how the commission has helped us as a family and my children. But I only did the intro. She did the more of the talking, hospital and all of that. But this is what I will say. You don't expect less from me. You don't expect less from me. Like I said, I am ready.
Were you comfortable when, according to you, she was making that narration in the church that your son had a hole in the heart and all of that? I mean, from the video, you agreed with her.
Yes.
So that agreement, was it just to, massage the ego of the church or the pastor?
Like I told you, you are taking me on a very.
I mean, this is what people have been asking. So you came here, you said that the miracles were not real. All right.
Yes.
And they went digging. I brought your own video where you were testifying with your mouth how your own son had a hole in the heart, and after prayers he became whole again. He became well. The hole disappeared. It was a miraculous testimony in the presence of thousands of people.
Okay.
So someone will look at you. Is it that you don't know what you're saying? You say this thing never happened, but you came and testified that it happened to you.
Now, this is what I want to say. And if I was once maybe a notorious armed robber, I'm into crime, and one day I said I'm not doing crime again. I'm just giving
general illustration. The wise will understand.
Yeah, the wise will understand. I said I'm not going to go into robbery again. I want to change. And now I started talking about I joined a vigilante, or maybe I had a platform where we started talking about how to control crime. And somebody go pull out a video where they saw me stealing, and they said, "Oh, you are criticizing robbers now, but look at you stealing." It holds no water. But this is what I will say. And that is because the case is sub judice. I don't want, and I did this podcast before they even arrested, before they even filed for the case. So it was not even part of what they filed. But I don't want, so I'm not preempting the case. I'm not talking about the case. But on that subject about my child, to be honest with you, I'm talking to you now. What do you expect from me? And there's what we call hypnotization, a system. If you are in a system, everything you do must be traceable to the Oga at the top. And you needed that validation. Let me subject myself now. I need to subject what I'm going to talk now. I'm going to subject, like I'm criticizing that same miracle, like Abraham gave that testimony. So let me subject Abraham. Did Abraham actually have had any medical report, any certificate, any doctor's report that said that your son had hole in the heart? That's the first question I'm asking Abraham. Abraham, can you prove, if you have any certificate, or Martina, can you prove with any doctor report that your son have hole in the heart? I need to take a look at that. Number two, let's assume he had hole in the heart. Now, can you prove that it was prayer that healed the child? Because the boy was on medication. He was on medication.
It was not as if he was at home.
If he was at home, or maybe he had hole in the heart, and I took him to church, I said, "Daddy, my son had hole in the heart. Can you pray over this hole in the heart so that this hole is covered?" And he prayed in the name of Jesus, "You hole in the heart, go!" And the hole disappeared. God healed my child of hole in the heart. But if science, medical doctors supervise my son and ensure he got his healing and recovered, there is no way that Abraham will tell this Abraham now that his son got healed of hole in the heart, that this Abraham will believe. Because even this Abraham is subjecting what that Abraham said. Because that Abraham, I think he's been hypnotized. Not I think, he's hypnotized. And so this Abraham is a freed Abraham. And if I was to be that Abraham, and that Abraham becoming this Abraham now, that child, if for me to prove that prayer healed that child, I must have taken it to daddy, and daddy prayed, or even calling daddy on phone and placing it on the boy either at home, and daddy prayed. But for science to do their job, and I give that glory to daddy, something is wrong with me. And sorry, before I drop that, I've seen several. I have seen folks that did IVF. IVF. When I mean IVF that was well followed by doctors' prescription instructions. At the end, they say because after that he prayed, and
they were barren, but then now they gave birth to triplets.
And because daddy prayed, and you're like, oh. One time I said, doctors, I'm sorry, we have messed you guys up. We don't have regard for you.
So doctors do the job, the pastors takes the glory.
Absolutely. Doctor do the job, or medical science do the job, or human do the job, and pastors take the glory. So I am subjecting that Abraham. That Abraham is hypnotized, and he was not in the right frame of mind when he said it. And if you are doubting this Abraham that is subjecting that Abraham now, please go to that hospital. Venus was where the child was born. So find out. And I'm the father. I can equally go, or you go to Gariki. Do you know what they did to my child? I'm saying this now, and I'm on mic, and I can be fact check. My son's name, all my children, I named them, especially their key names, but I give my wife her own right to name, but the key names like Lillian, the surname, the middle name or the other name she did. Now when the boy was born, I gave him two names: Daniel, which is my father, and Ode, which is her father, because he's our only boy. So I picked the father's name and my father's name, native, or what they call native or traditional name, and the English name. Do you know they started calling my son Paul? And it was so...
They renamed him.
Do you know, even in court, I raised that issue. And my ex-wife, when the whole Paul came, I said, but this boy is not Paul though. Everybody, and at one point, because I just needed to let the sleeping dog lie, I allowed it. But to be honest with you, my son's name is Daniel Ode Abraham. But it's up to him though, as he grows, he will
make his choice.
But that's to set the record straight. So for me, when people talk, when I saw that video, I was laughing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your relationship like with your children?
My children, like I said, I did babysitting for all my children. When I was pastoring Dunamis Church, New Cairo, my children were schooling. Some of them were schooling at Goshen. I used to drive my children to their school. I used to attend PTA meetings. I have never abdicated my responsibility as their father. One time I was telling my ex-wife that if they have to scan the body of these children and to detect how many times you bathe or I bathe, mine will be more. And I still put it to her. My ex-wife can sit down. Well, everybody got their way. Can watch movie for a whole day. I am following up. Children, have you done your assignment? Or have you bathed, go bath and all of that? And of course, I have great respect for my children. And one thing I don't do, I don't impose things on them. I expect them to make their choice. But we had one of the best relationships until when I resigned and my ex-wife, when I resigned and the divorce started, that was the crack of relationship, family relationship started. That was when the children now started having issues. And let me say this. I remember very well when I was living in Freda House in Lube. The children finished, they were writing exam. I went to work because then I was doing both or Uber. I went to work and that was the last day of their exam. As they were running off for their exam, my ex-wife went and picked these children. And after she picked them, I returned back. I was to ask, how far now? Where are the children? They said, the teacher called me that your ex-wife came and picked them. And it took me like, I think 3 or 4 months to see my children. I followed up, phone calls. Where are the children? She hid them away. She hid them from me. And it was from that point they started making my children feel I am a bad father. And I love them, but I want them to make their choice. Let me tell you, a lot has happened. I feel so pained. But under the supervision of my ex-wife, one of my child was RAPE. And the painful thing is that she hid it from me. She hid it from me. And I recall also.
By who?
By a pastor. A pastor. Oh, fuck. This pastor, when you see women, I beg her. If you go, we had the divorce issue at customary court at Biakasa. I beg for custody. She hired 2 lawyers. I defended myself to tell you how desperate she was to have the children. I told the court, this lady, she doesn't know how to take care of children. She doesn't. Our law may give respect for women, regard for women, because they are be women to women, but she doesn't. She hired 2 lawyers and insisted custody. And I knew what she was using them for. Bragging rights. Using them to beg. Oh, I'm a single mom. The father of these children abandoned these children with me. I am struggling to take care of them. And you know how Nigerians are. Women, single women, everybody. The man is a stupid man, is a wicked man. And from there, she'll have little money here and there. My 2 of my children, as I'm talking to you, KaaTruth, 2 of my children were abused. 2 under her custody
by a pastor.
No, first one of them pastor, the other one neighbor that used to assist them, because she will abandon these children and travel.
But I have interest. What exactly did you people do about it, or you just let it lie?
The RAPT in the first one by her pastor, the church closed. I didn't know.
The church closed because of this?
Yes, the church closed. The church.
Can you mention the name of this pastor?
The church, they used to call it, what's the name of this church again? It's at Uye. He's the younger brother, the alleged rapist is a younger brother of, stepbrother of Reno Omokri.
The stepbrother of Reno Omokri?
Yeah, the alleged, he's still in court, so alleged rapist, the court have not decided, the stepbrother of Reno Omokri.
The case is currently
in court. Now, when I heard it, I cried. My daughter, a pastor.
And they even kept it away from you.
In Abuja. Let me surprise you. Around my area, Jukwe High Court. If you know Jukwe very well, you know Kurudu, Ajata. There's a high court there. That was where the case was going on. She hid it from me. My daughter was RAPE. She hid it from me. And let me tell you how I got to know. She had a friend, and she's still alive. If you remember, before we came on this podcast,
I saw it.
I put it on speaker.
I heard it.
If you want to host her, she was even like, why didn't you call me? She will come. Or maybe I can even make a phone call and ask her. Hi, do you know that her friend, she started having accommodation issue. I begged this woman, I said, madam, can you reduce your test? She has a very high test. She wants to live in Abuja. I am living in outskirts of Abuja. I'm managing my life. That's Abraham for you. She said, no, I beg us, okay, let me have the children. Let me send them to school. The school that I can afford. No, children are going abroad. Children are going abroad. They need to learn German language. They need to do. I said, calm down. Now, let me shock you, sir. Her friend, her accommodation had issue. The friend that accommodated her gave her a room, squatting her. The same friend, my ex-wife, introduced her to a business. My ex-wife made her friend to sell her only car. You heard when she was saying that you stopped me. If not, I would have dealt with. Maybe you host her. My ex-wife made her to sell her only car, defrauded her. That is the person that gave her accommodation. My ex-wife defrauded her. Now the woman became so angry that she started looking for me. looking for me on social media.
Well, I think I need to say something here. If you're watching this video, I need you to understand that these are not just mere allegations. If they are mere allegations, I won't interject. But this is one of the things I told you. Remember at the beginning of this video, I told you I saw things that broke my heart. I hate things that broke my heart. And this with concrete proof, evidence, living proof of some of these things, especially what he's saying concerning his wife.
No.
Please continue, Abraham.
Now, my ex-wife. Now, the woman, I just opened it on WhatsApp. It's a chat. So the woman said,
this chat is going to display on the screen.
Yeah, I'm going to
video.
give you all the details so that you display them. When she opened up, she started chatting me on Messenger first. And you know how it is. I was shocked, like, who are you? But he said, she need to tell me something. I said, what is that? After a while, there was another gap until she broke up. That, are you aware that your daughter was RAPE? I said, my daughter? I didn't believe her. You're like, my daughter where? And opening up. And the case even came up by her pastor. The pastors, all these women that will be going to church, my husband abandoned my children, and I'm the only one. So the pastor became interested in like all these people, concerned pastors helping, and he said, well, this your daughter is very good. Come, let me teach her how to play keyboard or one of the instruments or so. Should I see? You don't need to hear my story. You won't like it. This guy allegedly make my daughter do dirty things, not just RAPE. Please don't talk. It's enough. Don't talk about it again. For the sake of the child. Yeah. But it's. But do you know what is paining me is that you're the father of this child. If you feel I'm a bad father, try me. Look, you don't need to see my. There's no man that will hear that somebody. Who are you? Before the case will go to court, let's see the person. Let me know. I come from a family. They didn't plug me from tree. I have elders. I have people. My children, if anything happened, they will ask me question. She took everything and handled everything herself. The matter went to court. The woman opened up. I said, no, it's not possible. Back to I said, no, it's not possible. It wasn't. She now said, okay, if I'm doubting her, she started sending me pictures. Say my children are even in her house. I said, how? She secretly snapped. I saw my child. Martina locked them in a room. What they survived on, they were surviving on what? Snacks. They don't cook because she started having issues, so they hardly enter kitchen. My children started hating the woman even because Martina made her look like she's wicked. So my children were surviving on snacks. They had to buy biscuit or maybe take away food. They didn't enter, the room was stinked because they were locked in that room. I think they will only come out briefly. I think like a week or so. When she told me, I had a meeting with her, my younger brother, and an officer. She told us, I was crying. I went to, because they said the matter started at FCID. I went to FCID. They said the IPO. It wasn't around it, and I think it was during Easter or so, one of these festive season. I didn't meet the IPO. I quickly went to, I think Natip that used to handle children this, and I had to make a formal report with them. And the report was not just about the child. I was reporting my ex-wife. I also went. It was from there I got to meet with VeryDarkMan. Maybe it will be a case for another day because of the time. But,
no, we're going to talk about it.
Okay,
we're going to talk about it.
Okay, so fine. It was at that point because when they transferred I'm just cutting things, but when that happened, now the woman told me, if I doubt, come to my house. So I took my younger brother, and he's alive, so if you want to engage him, he will come. I took my younger brother, we went to the house. When we got there, people were like, yeah, is that the father? Is that the father? Is that? They painted all manner of picture about me. I said, no wahala. So I went to the room. When I opened the door, my children were crying, daddy. All of them were crying. I asked Martina, what is my offense? I believed in you when I met you. I took you in. I never abused you, never molested you, never like maybe got you pregnant and later I say, okay, let me go pay your bride price. Your family insulted me, ridiculed me. Is it a crime to be poor? I didn't bring myself into this world. If my father was broke, what do you want me to do? I should steal for you? I told Martina, what is my offense? They abused my daughter. You hid it from me. What is my offense? The children were all crying. I said, no problem, it has happened. I moved my children, 4 of them. Now the woman said, we are not moving out of the house. That Martina is not moving. She has to pay because like earlier, Martina duped her of her car and some money. That Martina must pay that money. If not, she's not leaving the house. I started begging. Another Mr. David, we were here. We were together when the David even sent a test. Another Mr. David now was, the woman called the Mr. David. The David came. And they said, you must pay us. If not, because she was owing that David, I think about 800 or 900,000, owing the woman her car and some other business they did.
This 800,000 was also defrauded.
Defrauded. If the David, I can, you at least you read.
I read the message.
You read the message. Now the David. Now,
and this David we're talking about is still alive.
Alive, a member of even Dunamis Church.
And is a member of Dunamis. Is not just a member. He works at Dunamis Church.
See,
so you can go and verify. I heard it. I read the message. The message was sent when? Long time ago, where he was threatening to arrest the wife.
Martina. And if you remember, I called Martina.
And I was also here. I am making this one because I witnessed it. In the first video, I didn't say anything. I didn't have an opinion. But this one, I witnessed it because he also called the ex-wife in my presence. And she didn't know I was listening to her.
Yeah.
When he asked her concerning the money, she defrauded the Mr. David.
Mr. David.
800,000. The David was threatening to arrest the woman, and the only reason why he has not done so is because of the respect he has for this guy.
Let me shock you. Martina defrauded another DSS woman. Her husband is a DSS director. The woman threatened to pick Martina, my ex-wife. Martina cried to me and says, Abraham, this is what is happening. Do you know that I called the woman? The woman gave me a DSS staff name and they took my detail. That is, I sent my full photograph. I sent everything and took a shorty for her. If the money is not paid as at when I promised, I should be arrested. And sometimes Martina have hurt me. I started at one point. I had panic attack. I am on BP drugs right now. I am on BP drugs. I go with BP drugs, courtesy of that lady.
Hi.
Now let me tell you. When this thing happened, we now moved the children. I begged her. I took 4 of the children to my house. I live in 2 bedroom. As of that time, I had a woman already, another woman. I never planned to move my children there. I was doing both to my brother, both. Now, when we got there, I told my woman, sorry, I told you about the children, you are aware. We didn't plan to move them, but this is what happened. We are all feeling bad. I moved them into my bedroom. I took my woman, we were sleeping in the parlor, on the floor for my children. I am saying this under microphone. I can be people are alive. I was sleeping on the floor with this lady because it's 2 bedroom. The other room is my younger brother. So I respect him. My younger brother said, no, let him go sleep somewhere. I said, no, I will sleep on the floor, wake up, bath anywhere, go to work as a boat driver. I will still provide. If I don't spend at least 15,000 every day. Every day. One of my friend is even here, though off mic. Anytime I'm broke and he hook me, I say, bro, you need to send me money. Please help me. He will help me. Friends, you see, sometimes the country make it look like because you are broke, you are irresponsible. Never. Do you know, in my area, one woman, the way I was taking care of my children, the woman said if she have another word to come to this world, she wish I be her father. I will wake up in the morning, fetch water for my children. Now, I took care of my children, but the painful thing, I didn't know that my ex-wife was in touch with them. And I wanted to seize their phone, but I didn't know that my ex-wife was in touch with them. So it was at that point I took my children. I contacted VeryDarkMan. I contacted VeryDarkMan, and I'm happy. We have chats here. I didn't even contact VeryDarkMan. Please, the first time was Parara Mock News. It was the first person. Parara Mock News was the first person that blew that RAPE case, because he is close to me. I say, guy, see you, me where they fight for other people. See my own daughter, and he said, what didn't happen? I told him. He was the first person that broke that news, and I do content too, but I at a lower level. I posted it on Facebook, on other platforms, Twitter. It was from there that VeryDarkMan saw it and expounded it, and now called me. He started chatting me. He was the first person that started chatting me on Twitter. Though, you know how it is. Everybody started to talk about it. So it was from there, the chat here with VeryDarkMan. It was from there he said we should see, and I obliged. I was ready because, and let me tell you, sir, when
just later send me the screenshot.
Yes, I'm going to send you everything. When that happened, he was asked whether I'm in Abuja. I told him yes and all of that, and he said we are going to see that he has a lawyer. He sent me the address of the lawyer, myself, my younger brother, my 2 children, because I had moved them from my ex's place to where they were squatting to my house. I left one with them, with her. Sorry, I took them to see VeryDarkMan. We sat down at Deji's chamber, who said 2. My 2 children were there. But if you see my children, they are very big, because if you see their mother, you know she is big. 2 children were there. My younger brother was there. VeryDarkMan was there. The lawyer, he has other lawyers there, all there in that chamber. We are discussing, and VeryDarkMan said, "Oh, somebody have contacted him about that case before, but he wanted the woman to come out to talk, but the woman refused. That she's not ready to make herself public, so she withdrew." And I told them the extent I went to. I went to Natib. I also went. There's a ministry under women, something under Federal Ministry of Justice. I went there. So everybody, they were ready to deal with the case, because the case was already transferred, and we saw the game they were playing. So what did I need from VeryDarkMan and social media? I needed social media pressure, because the people involved they have money,
Rich.
They have the connection
and influence.
I was already broken. That number one, I didn't hear on time, so I needed a push so that all of them will come under pressure. Now I told VeryDarkMan. VeryDarkMan, immediately we are going into work. Even Barrister Deji, and to be honest with you, I knew Deji before VeryDarkMan. I've known Deji long time. So when I even saw him, and of course I even knew when he graduated as law, I was even shocked to see the office and all of that. I said, wow, oh, that's good. So that was when he said he would do it pro bono. And you know, rape case like that, Natif were already interested. There's another set of lawyers under Ministry of Justice that were already interested. So it was a full truck, and that was when VeryDarkMan said the following day that he's going to do a follow-up interview back to back, so that the pressure, because the first one started, I know something about such interview, you need to do follow-up back to back. He said he's going to even interview my daughter. I said fine, and but they are going to cover her here.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. And do you know when we left? That the day he promised, and I called his number, I wasn't going. I said, and the Parara, another platform that, you know, when you, for instance, now if you remember the day I had the interview with you, somebody else invited me. I called you.
Yes.
I said, man, should I go?
Yeah.
That's the kind of person, because if you have a platform that already pushing the narrative, to begin to jump
from one place to another,
it doesn't help the narrative. Because so I said, okay, Parada started it, but VeryDarkMan at that point was gaining ground and popular. So I needed his push. So I said, okay, he will help. So I stopped, struggling for either using Parada or any other platform. Now I followed VeryDarkMan. I begged him. He said, no problem, no problem. He's going to do a follow-up. So I started trying to call him and all of that. It wasn't going. I kept, until the next day, it wasn't going. Until this is what he said. He said, check my post. Of course, he said he had started posting it. He said, I will give you guys my platform and also my connection to see how to get justice. Please, I want to beg you. He said we should tell the truth, nothing but the truth. I said, I mean, the truth. They are raping my daughter, and that is all I want is justice. So the day we were meant to see, we didn't see again. He started like, please. And you know I do both. And the car is not mine. I have to remit every day. So if and I have children with me. So each day that I don't go to work, you know, the business is locomotive. So if I don't go to work, they won't eat. So I need to go to work. So I will call because I need to go there with my daughter. So I will call, and it wasn't picking. So I now retreated and started posting on my own. And when I started posting, he chatted me and said, I'm trying to get the right word. That I started posting on my own, and he said, he chatted me and said I should stop posting. He said, bro, you are posting too much. They try for under, and you keep posting. So he said, you can see it. He said, bro, you are posting too much. So I said, okay, if I try to imagine, okay, what are they trying under? Okay, maybe they are trying to, okay. I withdrew posting. To be honest with you, till this moment, VeryDarkMan never hosted my daughter until the matter was called in court. I watched his video. I think some days ago I did a video. I never wanted to talk on this matter because I felt dragging. We are men. I know. I asked him to help me.
Yes, that part is we actually want you to talk about.
Yes.
Because for me, when I saw VeryDarkMan's video, concerning it and the proof he presented, it made you look so entitled.
Okay.
In fact, I became angry with you. I was like, I don't like associating myself with people with such entitlement mentality, to a point that you also made a video, published a video on YouTube calling him a fraudster.
Yes.
And asking him to send you back the 500 naira you sent to him.
Okay.
I mean, it was a turn off for me. So now that you're here,
I need to let me drink water.
Tell us what really happened, and if he's right. If a VeryDarkMan didn't lie against you, also admit it.
Okay.
And I would also want you to apologize to him if you think what he said is the truth.
Let me say this. And I can be fact checked. When I got the issue of the rape of my daughter, I still have the screenshot here. I never had his contact. I was shuffling through social media. I contacted every other person, chatting, hi, please, my name is Abraham, I had this. So I went on Facebook. As of the moment I typed VeryDarkMan, so many names on VeryDarkMan appeared. So as someone that has been on social media, I had to look for the highest followers, like the one maybe the highest view. I felt, okay, maybe that must be VeryDarkMan platform. So I chatted, and the person replied. So I said, that's good. I introduced myself, and I told him, I told the person, the VeryDarkMan of my daughter's case, and he said, oh, fine, he's interested, or the person gonna learn, the normal and all of that. So I was happy. I even told people around my, I just chatted VeryDarkMan, and he responded. So I was happy. And but he said that I don't charge, but there's what I call a data something fee. I was like, how we VeryDarkMan now ask for data something fee, data processing fee?
These messages, this conversation, do you still have them?
I have them. So I said, well, if I would, I think you mentioned, about 40,000 or something. I said, I don't have. I'm just a father hustling, and I don't have. We talked until we arrived at 5,000, and I told myself, if that we help my daughter gain justice, I beg I go do it. No be steal. He said not for data. It's not for the job. I transferred. He said a screenshot of receipt. I did. He said fine. Tomorrow he gave me time that he will start the job. Now as I was doing that, that was when I had my contact with VeryDarkMan on Twitter also. So when the thing happened, I didn't mention the money to him because you are helping me to get my daughter to gain justice already. So what is 5,000? And I was good to go. I was so happy, and it went on. And so when the whole thing about it discontinued, to be honest with you, I want you to put yourself in my shoe. Your father, your daughter got RAPE, and the person that you thought will help you, because we need that social media justice. I wasn't asking him for money. And you go, even the day we went there with my daughter and all of them, nobody, not a pin. I drove there, I drove my family home. I didn't ask anybody, even throughout. I didn't ask anybody for a dime. Now, that passed. So one day I started thinking, I said, it is possible that VeryDarkMan either is aware or maybe oversight. Is he aware that he has many accounts bearing VeryDarkMan on Facebook? So I tried to chat him. I said, sir, could you check? And maybe why not try verify? Notice that all these things are verified. Why not try verify your Facebook account? Because there was a time when my daughter rape case was happening. I tried to reach you. This was what happened to me. I fell, whether it was a scammer or anything, I fell and I even paid money. And possibly there are other gullible Nigerians or people that may be falling for such. I chatted him privately. He did not reply. I now said, well, maybe he has too many messages. I took it to Twitter. I tagged him. I did screenshot of all of these scenarios. And I appealed to him, please verify your Facebook account. He did not respond. Of course, it had about 90-something thousand views. So he saw it. Because I know he saw it. He did not respond. And I said, wow. Is it that he what? Why will somebody... if you look like Davido, I can't verify it. If you type Davido, it's just one account. And it will help people following him, because there may be other people masquerading as Davido. So people started drawing my attention that there was a time he did a disclaimer that it's only one account he has on Facebook and all of that. But I said, okay, he has a retail. Why not they report all these accounts and block them? Because these people are scamming people. And their account is not just 10,000, 20,000. Some almost 1 million. Some 700, 600, 500, 200, 100,000 followers. So if you're a lay person, you may easily fall victim, and you are standing for justice. So why not, clean up these things so that people can follow you well? That was what my plea. So it didn't happen, and I just moved on until when I had accident in October. And I hit a Hilux car while driving. It was raining. They parked on. It was raining, but I took the blame because for me, I hit them from behind. It was this hospital at Jabi. I'm trying to get the name of the hospital. I took responsibility. Deaf Hospital. Thank you, Deaf Hospital. They said I will pay for their repair. They towed my car to Deaf Hospital. I was pleading with them so that everybody can go, because the impact of theirs wasn't much, but they insist that in that place is spoil and repair, that it is the responsibility of the driver. So if either the driver hit or you hit the driver, they don't have insurance. It's the responsibility of the driver. So at that point, I had to see how I can raise money to fix their car, and they were charging me, I think, about 200-something thousand to even fix their car, not my own yet. So
was that when you reached out to VeryDarkMan?
That was when I reached out to VeryDarkMan. I just sat under the tree there. My younger brother was there, and I reached out to him. I said, oh, bro, see you, I had an accident too. Even to tell you the truth, go check my handle on Twitter. I was even posting, asking for help. Because one thing I do, I prefer to ask than to steal. That we are trained to be disciplined. I prefer to say, please help me. At one point or the other, somebody is helping somebody. So I prefer to ask, help me. If you insult me, no problem. But I prefer to ask. So even on my platform, even on Facebook, I posted. There were people that supported me. Because where will I go to? I don't have any other person, so it's better to ask. Now, when he now saw it, he now said, how much? I now dropped a voice note for him. They said about 200-something thousand for their own. And when I told him that, no reply again. Me and my brother were worried. I said, what's happening again now? Not a day, not 1 hour, no reply again. And we are waiting to see how, with the promise we'll give to these people. So I told them, please, they should give me a little time. I started trying to see how I could raise money. I left the place. So I started following him up, calling him. Bro, maybe I thought maybe he didn't see the message. Follow up messages, no reply. Until one day, I was really touched. I said, how did I do this man now? I'm not asking for anything before. And I was seeing him helping people. So I said, okay, bro, I beg, see this thing now. Anyhow, at least, please help your guy. He now told me that his spirit do not permit him to help me. To be honest with you, one thing that my major turn off is profiling. As a matter of fact, I have a platform on anti-profiling because I detest scenarios and situations where people profile people. Now, when I saw that, I said, your spirit, what did I do? What is the connection between, I had an issue, you saw it, the connection between you and your spirit. So I tried to, persuade him or make him see reasons why he should help me. I dropped voice note. I even tried to connect him. We all have different background. If you are acting based on maybe what somebody told you, maybe my ex-wife or maybe anybody about me, please help me. As of that moment, I needed that intervention. He locked up. Because, sorry, let me digress a little. I had already paid for that diff repair. So what I was looking for now was to fix my own. So the mechanic and Penebita gave a long list. I screenshot it so that it doesn't look like copy and paste and sent to him. Not only him, I sent it to people that could assist me. So when he told me his spirit, I prefer to tell you, sorry, right now I'm not disposed, I don't have, or maybe please, I don't have. But when he told me that, I felt I was being profiled. It was not that I was entitled. No, I felt I was being profiled. And that was what made me. So now I'm trying to let him, why would you do that to me? Number one, I know it's your money, but also at least have regard for me. At least have regard for me. Don't profile me. And now I started drawing his attention to some of the issues I had when I was on Facebook and the money I lost, and even when they were doing the retail contribution, I contributed. And I said, oh, at least I'm even part of the retail. Why not help me? He ignored. So I thought about it. I felt so pained. I won't lie to you. And I said, no. I need my, it may be small. Yes, very, very small.
But you needed the 500 back.
It's my money.
This anger came from the fact that he did not respond to you. When
my RAPE happened?
Yes.
And now you are telling me your spirit do not permit you to help me.
Was that also the reason why you made a video calling him a scammer?
Okay. Yes. I did that. Yes.
Because I don't understand how he has scammed you in all of this.
Okay.
Except that he made a promise he did not fulfill.
Now, before, if you watch the video I did on that scam, I had to do the definition of scam. Because we, of course, in Nigeria, with the word scam, people always see it like monetary transaction. But it is far beyond monetary transaction. If I come to you, I pretend to assist you, I pretend to help you in any way, and at the end I do not help you in terms of, it could be verbal agreement, it could be written agreement, it's a scam. Let me give you and it's because when people say, how do you call him a scam? I say people don't understand. And it's because maybe people don't, I don't know what their depth of knowledge and understanding. But this is what, let me give you an instance. If I think a lot, I reason. My daughter had a rape issue. I contacted you. You never met my ex. I was one that sent my ex's number to Deji. They never had meeting with my ex. The children were in my custody. The children came to my house. I think around May. They left within a month or so. They didn't even stay long. The children were doing well. So there was no time my ex-wife took. It was not my ex-wife that took my children there. I took my children there. I took my children there. I never stopped my children from speaking with my ex. They had their phones. Sometimes they both car I was driving, my children will charge phone in the car to speak with their mother. So how will you, children that have been with their mother for over how many years, they just spend less than a month and you are saying I kept my children away from their mother? Now, when the RAP thing happened, this is where I said it's a scam. It's a scammer. And I still said it. And if I see him as a gentleman, I will shake him, will laugh. I may apologize to him. Maybe the word looked so ambiguous and heavy and maybe he felt embarrassed. I will tell him sorry. But I will tell him, truly, guy, you don't do me well. I'm a man. If you offend me as a man, I'll tell you, man, you don't do me well. Go shake hand. But if your daughter was RAPE and somebody gave you hope to ensure you get justice, behave as if he will help you. To the point where you even make posts. Say, no, don't make posts again. We are working at the background. If you are very investigative and intelligent in nature, I say ideas. I'm a thinker. That's what I do for a living. Sometimes I can lock myself in the room and thinking. So when you do something to me, I think. And I was, what were you doing at the background? What is their background? Is it that they were negotiating on something? Background. What is the background? So for me, he scammed me. And I didn't say he's scammer.
So what you're saying is that there must have been a reason why he did not continue.
It did not continue that case. Even if it is not for me, for my daughter. If you don't like me, no problem. Why did you do that to me? Tell me you are not helping me. I prefer to keep posting. I can go and do one man demonstration. I can do one man demonstration because in Nigeria we are in a very funny country. If a big man has issue, poor people will stand for the big man. If a big man has problem now, poor people will stand for the big man. But when a poor man has problem, even his fellow poor person will not help him. So I understand that. If I tell you bloggers I contacted, all ignored. So and that's why I love to be a one-man squad. I don't mind going to Ministry of Justice and even House of Representatives with that placard.
Maybe they are afraid of the kind of accusation people have leveled against me. I heard they said I paid you 5 million or so to come to come and tell story.
And it's so funny. It's so funny. Because nobody.
I paid you 5 million to come and talk. Religious puppeteers. No. All right, thank you. And this is where we're going to call it.
I'm sorry, before you call it short. Now, this is to VeryDarkMan. And VeryDarkMan, I actually tried to let love lead. I did a video, and I'm not going to talk on it, but I'm talking on it now because it's necessarily connected with the rape case, the RAPE thing, so I needed to bring it in. But I love you, whatever happened. Maybe if I use that word scam and it's very heavy, I'm sorry. As a man, peace rule. But to be honest with you, you did me bad. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much once again. And when you're watching this video, put yourself in the shoes of this man here and understand that no matter the religion you subscribe to, if you're a Christian, Muslim, traditionalist, whoever you are, put yourself in his shoes. With the fact that he has presented today concerning, refuting the allegations the ex-wife laid against him and so many other things we've talked about today. Make your judgment fair, not blinded by emotions. Thank you for watching this video, and I implore you to share it. I remain KAA, the host of KaaTruths Podcast, and I'm always open for your insult. Bye.